Good morning and welcome back to day 17 of 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teenagers. So, on Friday, which was day 16, we discussed goals and what it takes to get you there. And today, we are going to look at a few stories that go right along with that. If I can get my screen to share. Let's see here. All right, there we go. It was not wanting to work for me there for a second. Okay. So we're looking at goals in action today. And your homework from last Friday was to come up with a goal, something that you'd never thought about doing before, and write down the goal, your plan to achieve it, and a time frame in which you plan to achieve it. So now let's look at some of these particular things in action. When I was a sophomore in high school, I weighed 180 pounds. My brother David, a freshman, weighed a whopping 95 pounds. We were only 1 year apart. Yet I was twice his size. But David had a mountain of a spirit and did incredible things to get to where he wanted to go. This is his story. I will never forget when I tried out for the freshman football team at Provo High. At 5 feet 2 inches and weighing only 90 pounds, I was even smaller than the stereotypical 98-pound weakling. I couldn't find any football equipment to fit me. It was all too big. I was issued the smallest helmet they had, but still had to tape 3 ear pads together on each side of it to make it fit my head. I looked like a mosquito with a balloon on its head. I used to dread football practice, especially when we had to crack heads with the sophomores. We used to line up facing each other about 10 yards apart with the freshmen on one side and the sophomores on the other side. When coach blew the whistle, you were supposed to hit your opponent until the whistle blew again. I used to count the players in my line to see when my turn would come up, and then count the players in the sophomore line to see who would have the privilege of teaching me how to fly. It seemed that I always ended up getting the biggest, meanest sophomore as my opponent. I'm dead meat, was my constant thought. I would line up, wait for the whistle, and in a moment find myself flying backwards and upwards through the air. That winter, I tried out for the wrestling team. I wrestled in the 98-pound division, even though I weighed in with all my clothes on after eating Even though I weighed in with all my clothes on after eating a big meal, I still couldn't tip the scales at 98 pounds. In fact, I was the only guy on the team who didn't have to lose weight to wrestle. My brothers thought I would be a good wrestler because, unlike football, wrestling allowed me to compete with guys about my own weight. But to make a long story short, I got pinned almost every match. In the spring, I tried out for track, but as luck would have it, I was one of the slowest guys on the team. Little wonder, you should have seen my pencil-thin legs. One day, after track workouts, I just couldn't stand it anymore. That's it, I said to myself. I'm sick of this. That night, in the privacy of my room, I wrote down some goals I wanted to achieve during high school. To be successful in my athletics, I knew I had to get bigger and stronger. So I set goals in these areas first. By my senior year, I set a goal to be 6 feet tall, to weigh 180 pounds, and to bench press 250 pounds. In football, I set a goal to be the starting wide receiver on the varsity football team. And in track, I set a goal to be an all-state sprinter. I also envisioned myself being captain on both the football team and the track team. A lot of nice dreams, wouldn't you say? At that moment, however, I was staring reality in the face, all 90 pounds of it. But I stuck with my plan for my freshman until my senior year. Let me illustrate. As part of my weight gaining process, I made a rule that my stomach would never be empty. So I ate constantly. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner were merely 3 meals in an 8 meal day. I made a secret agreement with Carrie, the starting varsity linebacker for Provo High, who stood 6 feet 3 inches tall and weighed 235. He promised me that if I helped him with his Algebra 2 homework, he would allow me to eat lunch with him every day for weight gain and protection purposes. I was determined to eat the same amount he ate, so each day at lunch I bought 2 lunches, 3 milks, and 4 rolls. We must have been a hilarious sight together. I was also taking my gain weight fast protein powder along with my lunch. I would mix the sickening powder in each of my milks and nearly barfed each time I drank it. During my sophomore year, I began working out with my good friend Eddie, who was also yearning to get big. He added another requirement to my food list: 10 full teaspoons of straight peanut butter and 3 glasses of milk each night before bed. Each week, we were required to gain 2 pounds. If we didn't make weight on the official weigh in day, we were required to eat or drink water until we did. My mom read an article that said if a young kid slept 10 hours a night in a completely dark room and drank 2 to 3 extra glasses of milk a day, he would grow 1 to 2 inches more than he normally would. I believed this and followed it rigidly. After all, I needed to reach my goal of 6 feet, and my dad's height of 5 feet 10 inches wasn't going to help me. Dad, I said, I want the darkest room in the house. I got it. Then I put 2 towels under the door crack and over the window. No light was going to shine on me. Next, I set a sleeping timetable. I went to bed around 8:45 p.m. and got up around 7:15 a.m. This ensured me 10.5 hours of sleep. Finally, I drank all the milk I could. I also began lifting weights, running, and catching the football. Each day, I would work out at least 2 hours. When Eddie and I lifted at the weight room, we would check out the XL shirts in hopes that one day we would fill them. At first, I could only bench press 75 pounds, slightly more than the bar. As the months passed, I began to see results. Small results, slow results, but results. By the time I was a sophomore, I was 5 feet 5 inches and about 120 pounds. I had grown 3 inches and gained 30 pounds, and I was much stronger. Some days I felt like a lone man against the whole world. I especially hated it when people would ask me, how come you're so skinny? Why don't you just eat more? I felt like saying back, you idiot, do you have any idea of the price I've been paying? By my junior year, I was 5 feet 8 inches and 145 pounds. I continued with my weight gain program, the running, the lifting, and the skill development. In my track workouts, I made it a goal never to loaf, not even for one sprint, and I never missed a practice, even when I was sick. Then, suddenly, the sacrifice really started paying off. I got real big, real fast. In fact, I grew so fast that I had stretch marks across my chest as if I was mauled by a bear. As I approached my senior year at Provo High, I had reached my goal of becoming 6 feet tall and fell only 5 pounds short of my goal of 180 pounds. I became a starting wide receiver on the varsity football team and was also elected as a team captain. My senior year in track was even more rewarding. Again, I was selected as a team captain, became the fastest sprinter on the team, and one of the fastest sprinters in the state. At the end of the year, weighing 180 pounds and bench pressing 255, I was awarded Best Body by the senior girls of the high school, the award that I loved most of all. I did it. I really did it. I accomplished most of the goals I had set that night in my room years ago. Truly, as Napoleon Hill wrote, whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, the hand of man can achieve. Okay, I 100% think that that story is amazing. Absolutely amazing. And it is so true. Whatever you think, you will become, but you have to set forth that goal and work towards it every single day. All right, turning weaknesses into strengths. Notice how David used the 5 keys to goal setting. He counted the cost, he wrote them down, he roped up with his friends, he set his goals during a momentous moment when he was sick of being a shrimp. Sorry, little bro. And he had the raw tenacity to just do it. Now, I'm not endorsed being body centered, as David was for a period. And I can't promise you that you can will your way into growing taller, no matter how much milk you drink. I'm only trying to demonstrate the power that goals can play in your life. As David told me his story, it became clear that being a 90-pound wimp might have been a blessing in disguise. His apparent weakness, skinny body, actually became his strength, forced him to develop discipline and perseverance. People who lack the native physical, social, or mental gifts they desire must fight just that much harder. And that uphill battle can produce qualities and strengths they couldn't develop any other way. That is how a weakness can become a strength. So, if you're not endowed with all the beauty, biceps, bucks, or brains that you covet, congratulations. You just may have the better deal. This poem by Dovis Maylock says it well. The tree that never had to fight for sun and sky and air and light, but stood out in the open plain and always got its share of rain, never became a forest king, but lived and died a scrubby thing. Good timber does not grow with ease. The stronger wind, the stronger trees. Make life extraordinary. Life is short. The point is emphasized in the classic movie Friday Night Lights. Coach Gary Gaines tells his team of struggling high school football players, being perfect is not about that scoreboard out there. It's not about winning. It's about you and your relationship with yourself, your family, and your friends. Being perfect is about being able to look your friends in the eye and know that you didn't let them down because you told them the truth. And that truth is you did everything you could. There wasn't one more thing you could have done. Can you live in that moment as best you can, with clear eyes and love in your heart, with joy in your heart? If you can do that, gentlemen, you're perfect. Theologian Howard Thurman once said, "Don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive and go do that. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive." Carpe diem means seize the day. Make your life extraordinary. As you do this, remember life is a mission, not a career. A career is a profession, a mission is a cause. A career asks, "What's in it for me?" A mission asks, "How can I make a difference?" Martin Luther King Jr.'s mission was to ensure civil rights for all people, no matter their race. Gandhi's mission was to liberate 300 million oppressed Indian citizens. Mother Teresa's mission was to clothe the naked and feed the hungry. These are extreme examples. You don't have to change the world to have a mission. As educator Marin Moritzen says, most of us will never do great things, but we can do small things in a great way. He says this test doesn't fit in with his mission statement. That's funny. Okay, so now we've reached the end of the chapter. It's time for what's next and our baby steps, which is your homework tonight. Okay, coming attractions. You've heard of willpower, but have you ever heard of won't power? That's up next. And your baby steps. Homework for tonight. Determine the 3 most important skills you'll need to succeed in your career. Do you need to be more organized? Be more confident speaking in front of other people? Have stronger computer programming skills? The 3 most important skills that I need for my career are, and write them down. You need your notebook or your workbook so you have somewhere to write. Now, check it out. Some of you are going to sit back and say, but I don't know what I want to do. I'm only in the 6th grade. I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. Okay, so right here, right now, I want you to think about something. I want you to think about what your fastball is. And I know you guys don't know this story, so I'm going to share it with you really briefly. And then I want you to think about what your fastball is. Okay? There was a coach, a baseball coach, and there was this gentleman who he had signed to come play on his team. I think it was, gosh, I can't remember who it was off the top of my head. I want to say it was a team in Detroit. Anyways, the kid could throw any kind of ball. He was a pitcher. He could throw any kind of ball you could possibly imagine. Okay? And but he was struggling. He wasn't striking people out like he thought he should be, or like the coach thought he should be for that matter. And so he was struggling because he knew in order to hold his position on this team that he had worked so hard to get onto, that he needed to throw strikes. So one day his coach comes to him and he says, "Son, what can we do to improve your game?" And he says, "Coach, I just don't know. I don't know." And he said, "Well, what do you think your best pitch is? What can you throw?" And the kid says, "Well, I can throw them all." And the coach said, "Yeah, but what's your best pitch?" And he sat there and he thought for a minute and he thought for a minute. And finally he decided, "I think my best pitch is the fastball." And the coach said, "Okay, then for the next year, this whole next year, all I want you to work on is your fastball." "But what about my curveball?" "We don't care about your curveball. You think your best pitch is your fastball? We want to focus on your fastball. We can worry about the curveball later." So the kid says, "All right, we can focus on my fastball." So for the whole next year, all that gentleman did was focus on his fastball. And guess what? The next baseball season, they went to the World Championship and they won it. And I wish I could remember what daggum team it was. I'll look it up and let y'all know, okay? But that's it. I want you to think right now, what's your fastball? Most people, even as adults, don't understand what their fastball is. But what's your best pitch? What's your fastball? What thing do you do best in life? For me, I think it's talking. It's talking to people and guiding them in a direction. So for me, my fastball is my leadership ability, my ability to get things done. You know, that's my fastball, my leadership ability. So I'm honing in on my leadership ability every day. What can I do? What can I do that's going to make me a better leader, a stronger leader, a more intelligent leader? When the kids won't listen, what can I do? When my class is rowdy, what can I do? How can I lead them to the water and make them want to drink it? What can I do? So right here, before you think about your career, I want you to first think about, what is your fastball? What can you do? And then I want you to think, do you love it? You know, your life's passion is actually determined between the ages of 7 and 14. And that's where y'all are at right now. So, what's something that you do every single day or that you think about every single day that you absolutely love doing? And I'm not talking about playing on your cell phone. I'm not talking about playing video games. For some of you may have a passion. You may go on and create apps for cellular devices and computers. You may become a video game engineer. But I'm talking about something that you do that when you do it, you are at home. You are at peace. You don't feel better in the world unless you are doing this thing. It just brings a calmness to you because you love it. You thrive on it. What is that thing? Now, once you figure out your fast pitch and once you figure out the thing that you love the most right now in your life that you love to do, then I want you to think about what careers can coincide with that. Okay, I've got leadership ability. I love to talk. I love to guide people. What possible careers can I be involved in? Well, I can be a teacher. I can be a coach. I can be a seminar presenter. I can be a motivational speaker. I can be an inspirational speaker. I can be a transformational speaker. It doesn't stop there. I mean, I can go into psychology. I can be a therapist. I can be a counselor. I can go into social work. There's all kinds of careers that are just centered around leadership. I can own my own company, you know? So for you, what's your fastball? What is the one thing that you love to do? Maybe once you discover those two things, you can discover your career, where you should be in the future. Okay? Once you've determined those two things, and then you've decided, well, this career sounds interesting, then I want you to do a little bit of research and start your baby steps. Determine what the 3 most important skills you'll need to succeed in your career are. And do you need to be more organized, be more confident speaking in front of other people, have stronger computer programming skills? And then write it down. The 3 most important skills I need for my career are. Okay, now that's number 1. Number 2, reread your mission statement daily for 30 days. You should have already written it. That's how long it takes to develop a habit. Let it guide you in all your decisions. Don't miss a day. Put it somewhere where you see it. Put it as your screen, your background screen on your phone. And every time you look at your phone, you see your mission statement. I actually have a little sticky note tab app that I downloaded, and my mission statement is on my sticky note. So every time I open my phone, it's not my background, that's my kids, but I see that sticky note and it reminds me of everything that's important to me. All right, number 3, look in the mirror and ask, would I want to spend time with someone like me? And when you do that, make sure you're making eye contact with yourself. And it might hurt a little bit. And it might be real hard. And if it is, then you need to put your big girl pants on or your big boy pants on. You need to suck it up and you need to do it anyways. Because if you don't want to spend time with someone like yourself, then you need to work on the qualities that you're lacking. Because probably nobody else does either. And you can change that. I believe that you can change that. All right, number 4, go to your school guidance or employment counselor and talk about college or career opportunities. Find an aptitude test online that'll help you evaluate your talents, abilities, and interests. Ooh, so when we do this class over the summer, we're going to take the Myers-Briggs personality test when we do this page. That'll be really fun. Okay. That'll give you guys more insight on what you'll actually be good at. I love Myers-Briggs. Okay. Number 5, what's the key crossroad you are facing in your life right now? In the long run, what's the best path to take? So that might take some thought process, right? And that's okay, because you can't plan your life in a day. Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither is your future. So you've got a whole lot of actions in step right now, or a whole lot of steps in action. Let's just keep working towards what those crossroads might be, okay? And in the long run, which path you might need to take. The key crossroad I'm facing and the best path to take. So right now, that key crossroad could very well be your friends. What path should you take? Maintain those friendships, or realize that they're not exactly who you want to be, doing what you want to be doing, and choose a different group. I'm telling you guys, growth, it can be difficult, but it's so worth it in the long run. All right, number 6, share some of the great discovery activity questions on your Facebook page or your blog. See what your friends' answers are and share yours as well. That could actually be a really cool and fun activity to do. Number 7, think about your goals. Have you written them down? If not, take time to do it. Remember, a goal not written is only a wish. And if you haven't written them down yet, then you didn't do your homework. So make sure you've got your goals written down. Number 8, identify a negative label others may have given you. Think up a few things you can do to change that label. So, for example, me, when I was young, my negative label was Brit Brat. My sister coined me Brit Brat when I was very young because she thought that I was just the most annoying little brat ever on the planet. And not really sure how I changed that, to be honest, with the exception that I worked really hard not to get on her nerves. And I became helpful instead of hurtful. So whereas when I was really young, I would do everything I could to get her in trouble, as an older adult, I actually became her friend and helped her instead of trying to hurt her. Okay, so that's it. That's our baby steps for today, and that's your homework. Okay, you have a few things to write down and a whole lot of stuff to talk about and to think about with your family. Don't forget, first steps first, what's your fastball? Once you determine what your fastball is, then you can say, okay, what's the one thing that from the age of 7 to now, this is like my favorite thing in the world. It might be playing with Barbie dolls. Boys, it might be, I don't know, building cars out of wooden pieces. You know, just anything. What is your number one hobby today? The thing that if it wasn't in your life, you don't know who you would be. That is where your passion lies. And that is where your most successful career will come from. Okay? All right, guys, I hope you've had a wonderful time with this particular course today. I always love it when we do baby steps, and goal setting is one of my favorite things on the entire planet. And I think it gets a bad rap because I think people take them for granted. And I really hope that we don't fall into that trap. But you guys have an amazing day, and I will catch you on the flip side. Toodle doo.